Hi, welcome back to the channel. You're watching Racing and Restorations by McLean Racing. The first of one of our restoration projects. We have a 1986 Suzuki GSX1100 EF, or EFE as some people like to call them. Now this one hasn't had the best of starts in life. So originally released in 1986, it went through two owners. It was parked up in late 1993, I believe, and that was where it stayed. Unfortunately, the shed it was in collapsed at some point in the past, and they threw a tarpaulin over it. Unfortunately, the tarpaulin then absorbed all the water, shall we say, and it was a bit rusty, and a few people on the forums dubbed it RustEFE. So that's the name of the project, RustEFE. Now this actually started about a year ago, this project. I only did a couple of videos sort of show it trying to run, so at the beginning of the video there is a lot of photographs. So I've done my best to make a little montage up based on what I had available.
Oh yes. Look for that. No. So the engine turned over by hand, which was quite good. It wasn't seized. Turned over quite well on the start motor as well. I think the carb slides were hanging up a little bit. That's why it was spinning a bit fast. Brake cleaner obviously didn't work. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. I didn't really expect much. It had been sat for 30 years. So the next step was to get the bike stripped. I didn't really have the room in the workshop at the time to do it, so I ended up taking it home to strip it. All the exhaust manifold bolts came out without snapping, so it was definitely time to buy a lottery ticket, because that never happens on a bike of this age. They always snap. Generally, after stripping it, giving it a clean, the bike wasn't actually as bad as we first initially thought when it arrived. Luckily, it was looking likely that we'd be able to save this one. Give it a new lease of life. So here we are on a wet and dreary Saturday morning. I've had the call to say the frame's ready to be picked up. Decided to have it painted in the end rather than powder coat. More because powder coat, although it hides a multitude of sins, it also hides frame numbers half the time as well. And I had a chat with Paul, who's painting the frame for me, and he said, look, we're probably better off to paint it, that way we'll keep the frame numbers. And he said we'll just see how the frame comes out after it's blasted. So he blasted the frame swing arm, foot pegs, weren't generally too bad. So he's red oxide primed it, and then went over it with a metallic silver, and then a lacquer. So close to what it was from the factory. I think they only gave it one coat of primer, one coat of lacquer from the factory, because it's really, really thin. Then he sort of rang me, he said, look, he said it's not perfect. He said there's a little bit of pitting in places from, you know, where the rust got in deep. So it's not terrible, it's just because it's metallic, it shows up a little bit. Sent me a few photos. To be fair, it's not that bad. A lot of it is underneath bodywork where you're not going to see it anyway. A lot of it's underneath tank, which for obvious reasons. So I'm happy with it. The bike's never going to be perfect. It's just, you give it a little bit of character, a little bit of its own backstory. So a few people sort of wondering why I wanted to do this project. There's a few ways we could have gone around it. Generally, a lot of people are like, yeah, turn it into an drag bike. I had an EFE drag bike. It was quite a thing, but that's not what I wanted to do with this. I could have done a concourse restoration, could have resto modded it. You know, I've got enough spare parts that I could have put an aftermarket, you know, a radial front end in it, and a nice swing arm, and a nice set of wheels. But generally, it was going to be restored. The plan was never to make it a concourse restoration, because I've done concourse restorations in the past and they cost a ton of money. And when I mean a ton of money, set your budget, double it, triple it, you'll get somewhere close to what you want to be spending. It just costs so much. So I thought, it's never going to be perfect, let's just make it a nice respectable road bike, get it back on the road and give it a second chance, and hopefully it'll last a little bit longer than the 7 or 8 years it lasted previously on the road. So I'll stop waffling on, I'll get into the video, and I hope you enjoy it. Good morning, welcome back. We've started the rebuild on the GSX1100 EF. Mechanically it's going okay, electronically it's not. I'll have to admit I've had a bit of a boo-boo in the technology department. So a couple of days ago I was filming picking the frame up and getting it back, and basically started putting it back together, new head bearings, new swing arm bearings, things like that. Unfortunately that night I started editing the video and my laptop crashed spectacularly and corrupted the file, and that's now properly gone. So we're going to start off where we left off a couple of days ago. I apologise, but you can't help it sometimes. So this is where we got to the other night. We got the swing arm bearings in, new head bearings in, painted the bottom yoke because that was rather crusty. I had a video of that, again that's lost. We retained the frame numbers as stated in the video before. Now this is what we were talking about with the pitting on the frame, and that's because it's a metallic colour and it really does show. Metallic silver really does show. Luckily a lot of it is hidden under bodywork. The bit that you can see is sort of this bit here. You know, there's a little bit here, but generally it's not too bad. The rest of it's okay. In the swing arm pivot area, you know, that was a little bit bad as well, but generally it came out quite well, and I'm quite happy with it. So another thing was I had to get a new centre stand because the feet had rotted out on the other one. I bought this one and it turns out it's not for an EFE, it might be for an EZ or something like that, just because it's got the 2 spring hooks rather than the 1. If anybody can kind of shed a light on what it's from, or if anybody has got a nice EFE centre stand and a nice spring, that would come in handy. But for now we'll leave it on because it's sort of helping hold everything up until we get some wheels in it, and yeah, it'll do the job for now. So among other things that didn't survive, unfortunately, although the shock hasn't leaked anything, if you look right in on the damper rod in here, it's rusty, which means the first bump, pothole, whatever, that shock's going to be out of it. So along with the suspension linkage, which was kindly sent to me by a friend of mine, because the original one that didn't survive either, we're going to have to get another shock. Now whether I try and find a good original shock, which are now 40-ish year old, I don't know, or I'll just buy an aftermarket one. I haven't decided yet, but for the time being, so we can move it, what we will do is a bit of round bar and some rose joints on the end. At least then I can get it moving. A little bit of grease, make sure it actually works, because that's one thing manufacturers don't do anymore, is they don't grease anything, which becomes really annoying when you come to service something. So I put some forks in her. These ones are not too bad. I bought these off eBay last year at some point, and that's not pitting, that's just, I think that's where tape was on the leg. A little bit of pitting down below here on the leg, but you can't feel any of it, which is good. You can maintain them when, even if a little bit of pitting, you can maintain it when it's on the bike, but you can't buy chrome tubes for them anymore, and to get them re-chromed is really expensive. So in the next video, what I'll probably do is pull the forks back out and the wheels, refurb all of these, give them a nice clean up lick of paint, new seals, new oil, see if the anti-dive, does the anti-dive work? If it turns, whether it works or not is another matter. I don't think they ever worked in the 80s, but there you go. Now next on the list is I need to refit the wheels. Now these are as they came out the bike a year or so ago. Pretty badly corroded. I'm hoping that either with a vapor blast and a repaint, they'll come up quite well. I have been sort of on the lookout for a cheap set of wheels that are in better condition, but none have really come up yet. So I'm going to fit them today, again for the object of getting the rolling chassis so I can move it around the place. After the Christmas break, I'll take them back out, probably about the same time I do the forks. I'll send them away for vapor blast, get them painted, get a new set of tyres on order for them as well. I think the brake discs, a little lip, it's nothing drastic. I think the brake discs will be able to save if I vapor blast them in my blaster and paint the centres. I think they'll be okay. So when I stripped the bike, I kept every nut, bolt, rubber washer, cover and everything else. And one thing that was quite surprising is that a lot of the rubber parts survived quite well.
like this. So these go on the tank, or hold the tank, shall I say. So I'll put them on there. Another one that is an issue at times is this one, the main one that holds the back of the tank. It's in absolutely perfect condition. Couldn't quite believe it when I thought this one would disintegrate given the state of the tank. So this fairing I refurbed, one of the first things I refurbed on the bike when I started doing it about a year ago. So it'd be nice to see it on the bike. It's been sitting around for a long time in the workshop, so I'll get this one on. Jesus, you can see why these bikes weigh so much. That is heavy. Really, I wouldn't say rare, but it's really uncommon these days to see one of these that hasn't had all of this cut out. There's plenty of people still modify these bikes, but they keep cutting all the important bits out. Now, I am using stainless nuts and bolts and things like that where I can, because like I said, it's not going to be a concourse restoration and it costs a lot of money to have every single nut and bolt replated. It's a lot cheaper to replace with stainless hardware that's not really going to rust or rot. Plus there are a few bolts that, yeah, they're just not salvageable. That's looking good. I'll tell you what, one thing with this bike is it had some bolts in it. Now I have no idea, they just had a nut and a bolt in them. I don't know if that was a thing back in the day where there was a rack or something maybe went on. I don't know, it looks horrible. I'll have to put another stainless nut and bolt in just to make it look nice, I think. But if you know, can you let me know? I think it's for a rack maybe, or something along them lines. It would be interesting to know either way, because there wasn't a rack on it when it arrived. I wonder where the seat is.
starting to look like a bike again. That's nice. So she's looking nice up on her wheels, really. It'd be a shame to get this far and not have a sneak peek of what it might look like when she's done. So how bad was the tank? The tank was pretty bad, not gonna lie. I did manage to get a replacement tank. As you can see, the original tank just kept deteriorating as it dried out. I did get another tank, and although it's the right colour, it's the wrong paint scheme, so I'll have to get that painted again. But luckily, all the rest of the bodywork was fine. I think we might chuck that tank out just see what she looks like. Look at that. Look at that. It would be rude not to put the side panels on. One of the side panels, the lug's broken off the back here, so somebody's drilled it in the past. If anyone has one in this colour, I'd be interested in buying it. These are original, they've not been painted at all. I've only cleaned stuff up. Would you look at that? She's a beauty. That's looking nice. Really pleased with that. Really pleased. It's not a bad afternoon's work. So I hope you enjoyed the video. It's quite difficult doing this on my own. It's my first YouTube video. So if you've got this far, thank you for watching. In the next video, probably going to look at getting the wheels done, forks done, all the suspension parts, maybe get the seats done, get them reupholstered. So if anyone has anything to say, drop a comment, let me know what you think. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.